Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Nick. I am a co-founder at Dial Technologies, and today I'm going to be walking you through a workflow that we have built for our deal flow. A lot of the times when you have deal flow, you want to follow up multiple times, and you don't want to be that person that's constantly following up, but you also don't want deals to go dry or essentially not have communication and keep bumping this in the person's inbox. So at Dial Technologies, what we do is we have a 3 follow-up kind of process. We do the first follow-up, which is just, hey, this is a bump in your inbox. Second follow-up is we want to make sure that you're still interested so we can continue to engage and move this process forward. And then the third follow-up is essentially our last follow-up, which is saying, hey, you haven't responded. This is either not a priority or, you've disappeared. And so we're going to stop following up. Please let us know if you would like us to consider working with you still. If not, we are going to move on essentially. And so if I jump over here into Attio, what this essentially looks like is, and this is in our demo account, so these are not actual deals, but in Attio you get this number here, and this is the number of days that it's been in a stage. And so obviously you can see some of these, again, this is a demo account, some of it's just test data. And so we can see this deal specifically has been in progress for essentially 1 day. And then we have this field here, which is a select field. And this is essentially our follow-up count. So we can say we followed up once, twice, or 3 times. And then additionally here we have a follow-up date, and this is essentially for our workflow. And so what this actually looks like, if I click into workflows, we have 2 workflows. So this workflow is essentially a helping workflow. It runs on a specific cron schedule here, so only at 9 a.m. on Saturdays. And what this is doing is it's essentially like a helper workflow. So it's going to go and find all of the deals where the specific filter here is met. So a deal is in stage. Obviously this could be like proposal pending or follow-up needed, something like that, depending on what your specific pipeline looks like. And then also where the date is after yesterday, which means the follow-up date is essentially next week. And so the reason that we have this is because we don't want this to trigger on weekends, and we want to essentially calculate business days. So we loop through these, and then we adjust the time and we offset it by 2 days. That way, essentially, we're not considering weekends as business days, and all of the times get pushed out 2 days. And then for the update record here, we're just updating that timestamp. So that's the kind of helping function or the helping workflow that we have. But the main workflow is this handle follow-up date. And so what this workflow is doing is, again, it's running on this recurring schedule. And it runs 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, so every business day. And what we're doing is we're going to get the records again that are in progress. They do not have a follow-up date, or the follow-up date is essentially today. We're looping through those, and then we have kind of 2 options here. So condition 1 and condition 2. Condition 1 is if the follow-up date is empty, or condition 2 is if the trigger date is essentially today. So that's what our filter criteria was for the find records option there. If the date is there, we're just adjusting the time and we're updating the record. And if the date is essentially empty, then what we're doing is we're going into this switch record here, and it has 3 conditions, and these 3 conditions are relatively the same. This one is a little bit different. Basically, condition 1 is if the follow-up count is empty. Condition 2 is if it's in the second, and condition 3 is if it's in the first rather. Condition 3 is if it's in the second, because if it's in the second, this is essentially condition 3, which is the third follow-up. So we don't want to set another follow-up date. So that's why we're not adjusting the time here, and we're actually updating the record here to move it to lost because we didn't hear from them. And so just to show you kind of what one of these looks like, the first thing we're doing is creating a task, send follow-up for this person for this deal, and then we're assigning it to the deal owner. The next thing is we're adjusting the time, and we're pushing this out 6 days. And then the next one we're pushing out 9 days, and then we don't adjust this third path. And then the last step here is to update the record. So we're just updating the timestamp, so that way we know when the next follow-up date is. And so, this is run here. So you can see this actually just ran at, 10 a.m. and it came through here. It looked at these conditions, and there essentially wasn't a run here that processed in run 1 here. This failed just because we, ran a bunch of times, because again, our pipeline is 170 days old because it's just a demo account, but you can see this run process through here. So if I go back to the deals pipeline, what this actually looks like in practice is we would have a deal sitting here in progress, and we would go and we'd say, hey, have we followed up? Yes, we followed up once. And, or if there is no essentially, follow-up date here, this would run and it would set this follow-up date, not to today, but essentially 6 days from, now. And then on the weekend, it would, hit that Saturday workflow, and it would actually push this out 2 days because it's 6 business days. So essentially this follow-up date would be January 22nd. So if we haven't followed up on this, then on January 22nd, we will get a task. And so here is what the tasks essentially look like. Send first follow-up for this person. It's been assigned to the person who is the deal owner, and then there's one linked record, and this is essentially the deal. So this way we can get these automatic reminders every day. Or every week we have a deal review, and so we can come in here to look at these tasks and say, oh, okay, we need to do this follow-up, we haven't done this, and make sure our deal pipeline is updated. So that's kind of the workflow. There's a lot of different ways that you can kind of modify this depending on how you process the deals, but this is something that we do. It's obviously slightly different in our account, but it's a really, really good kind of basis for how you can start automating follow-ups, and eventually as well, you could have this send an automated email out, but we're not at that point in terms of allowing to do that. We want to just create the task for us to go and send the follow-up, since we can do that pretty quickly. So thanks for tuning in. That was a short one today. We're hoping to provide some more workflow walkthroughs as well as integration demos and overviews. If you have any ideas, please leave them down in the comments below. And if you need help, you can reach out in the comments, or you can visit us at dialed.tech. Cheers.